After one NC coach was fired, could another up and leave? The rumors swirling around NC State's campus and how students are reacting.
We're on our way to record highs by the end of the week, but another cold front is around the corner. How hot we'll get, plus the next system bringing storms and a cooler weekend.
North Carolina still doesn't have a budget. What does that mean, though, for you and your family? And why would our state see hundreds of millions of dollars in losses next year without one? Also, how does outgoing Senate Leader Phil Berger factor into all of this? We're going to get to the bottom of all of it with our NC Capital team. A lot of questions on our mind tonight here at 7 o'clock. You probably have some too. Who's going to be UNC's next basketball coach? There's one. Could NC State be in the market for another as well? And what does Phil Berger's loss mean for our state budget? Also, why did Epic Games lay off thousands of people, 1,000 people? Lots to talk about. We're working on getting answers for you tonight, and that's what we strive to do every night here at 7 o'clock. So keep sending your questions and feedback to 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Your emails lead to the stories that we put in this newscast, so please keep them coming. We're going to start with the Triangle's favorite pastime. Not college basketball, but the college basketball coaching carousel. Hubert Davis is out, so UNC needs a new coach. And now there's some questions about whether NC State might be next. WRL's Eric Miller is on the basketball beat for us tonight. He's live on NC State's campus. Eric, wasn't this Will Wade's first season, and didn't they make the tournament? How are students feeling about all this?
Yeah, Dan, it was, and that's honestly adding to a lot of the pain that the students walking around on this campus today are feeling. Now, of course, all of this coaching carousel, it started last night with Hubert Davis, with his firing announced late last night after, of course, that disappointing exit from the NCAA tournament. Davis had been with the program for 5 seasons. He had delivered some real highs during that time, but not enough and not consistently enough for the university's liking. Now there's Will Wade here at NC State, and that is a very different story. Wade has been coaching here at NC State for just a year. The bombshell in this case, it dropped earlier today with CBS Sports' John Rothstein reporting that LSU, Wade's former employer, is on the verge of bringing him back. Wade had dismissed previous rumors of an exit, including at a press conference just 2 weeks ago, but the feeling on campus today is betrayal.
A lot of students are very I would say a lot are upset, and a lot of them are a little worried about it. The state of college basketball right now.
It would be really tough because then you have to rebuild from the ground up. Now last year was like, okay, here's step 1, and now you can take a big step 2.
Now, Wade's record during his 1 year with the program has been a little bit mixed. The team went 20-14 with 8 of those losses coming in the final 10 games.
Look, we don't want to put the cart too far ahead of the horse here, but let's, just to plan things out, let's suppose Will Wade does leave NC State, Eric. What's the buyout situation? I mean, what could this end up costing him?
Dan, in a word, it is not cheap. Wade is here on a 6-year, $17 million contract. If he wanted to leave right now, right this minute, it would cost him about $5 million. If he were to wait until April 1st, it would go down to about $3 million. Dan?
Okay, April 1st, so I guess we'll be paying attention, Eric. Thank you. I do want to get to a good question that we got from some viewers in the 7 p.m. inbox. Lots of people writing into 7 p.m. at WRL.com. A viewer named Michael wrote in, what's the holdup with the state budget, he asked. Christine wanted to know, too. She wrote, I was wondering if you can do a story on the state budget and how we are still without one. And Gregory writing that no one wants to talk about why North Carolina doesn't have a budget. Can someone please help me with this? So, look, it kind of sounds like lots of people do want to talk about the budget. And yes, we can help you with this because right now is a really good time to bring this up. Senate Leader Phil Berger just lost that primary race to Sam Page. Berger is a major factor in the budget renegotiations, and he will be out of the legislature next year. So what does that mean for the budget or lack of one? Does his election loss move the needle at all? And like Michael said, what is the holdup in the first place? Ashley Rose spoke to WRL State Government reporter Will Doran.
Will, we get so many questions about the budget. Tell us where things stand right now. It doesn't look like things have changed.
No, you're right. For months, we have gone without a new state budget. Legislature comes back next month in April, so we may know more then. Governor Stein has been pressing lawmakers to go ahead and pass at least something, even if it's not a full budget, just some critical needs that he's outlined. But there's really no sense yet that Republican leaders in the House and the Senate are going to listen to him. They are still very much at odds over tax policy, so we don't even know how much the state might have to spend, let alone where and how we're going to spend that money.
One of the main leaders who has been a part of these budget negotiations is Senate Leader Phil Berger. We now know that he lost the primary. He conceded this week. With that concession, knowing that he is kind of out of the picture, at least next year and moving forward, how does that play into these budget negotiations?
It's a fascinating question, and one that's going to play out over the next few months. This whole spring session that the legislature is going to have could be Phil Berger's last hurrah after a 30-year political career. It's his time to cement his legacy, and so will he face more pressure to negotiate a budget, actually get something done, or will he say, I like where things are right now, because if we don't have a budget, then tax cuts are going to continue going into place. He likes tax cuts. He could have some incentives not to negotiate at all. So we don't know yet exactly how this is all going to play out, but it is just a fascinating political question now that we do have this kind of ticking clock down towards the end of his career.
Not only are we watching that ticking clock towards the end of his career, but we're also watching what's going on with the dollars and cents in our state government. And the forecast is not looking great there.
No, even before Phil Berger leaves office, which will be in January, in July, the start of the new fiscal year, the state's economists just said this week that we're actually expecting to start losing money, hundreds of millions of dollars less for the next fiscal year than we've got to spend this year. So, could that necessitate cuts to state spending? Possibly. It could also mean that we just put less money into savings, which hurts our ability to respond to recessions or, big storms in the future. But very real questions coming up, again, literally in a few months in July, when we could start seeing all of these cuts going into place.
You talk about cuts to state government. How much of that has to do with the lack of, because of the tax cuts issue with the budget?
The state's economists have identified exactly the tax cuts, and this is a bipartisan team, both Republicans and Democrats, working on this analysis issue, and they've said, for years, even though we have been cutting taxes in North Carolina basically annually for the last 15 years, we've had enough money because our population's been growing, wages have been growing to keep up, but we're finally hitting that mark where the tax cuts have gotten too aggressive and the population growth and wage growth just hasn't kept up, and we are going to start hitting a deficit.
Wow. Thank you, Will.
Fortnite is still one of the biggest video games on the planet, and the company that created it is right here in our backyard. Hundreds of our neighbors work at Epic Games, and hundreds of our neighbors just got laid off. So let's talk about how we got to this point, how Epic Games came to Cary, and why this hugely successful company is shedding jobs. Plus, we have a bit of a treat for you in tonight's One Last Thing. You'll meet the man from Apex who combined music and literature to create a song that's going viral. Kat?
Temperatures are bouncing back, but that's going to come with a huge crash later this week. And I'll walk you through when the cold front gets here and when it could bring a little rain to help with the pollen coming up.
Here's what's on WRAL News at 11 tonight. A call to action for Raleigh city leaders after a man was shot and killed at a popular bar in Raleigh. WRAL asks what the city is doing to make sure the city's nightlife is safe. So we now know a little over 200 Epic Games employees in Cary will lose their jobs. This is one piece of a much larger round of layoffs at the video game developer, 1,000 job cuts across the country. And it feels like Epic Games does pop up in the news a lot. And if you think so, you're right. Lawsuits with Google and Apple put them in the news. The defunct Cary Town Center project, an investment from Disney. To understand the layoffs and why we got here, we need to start with how we got here. It all started back in 1991 at the University of Maryland. Back then, Epic Games was Potomac Computer Systems. Their first game was called ZZT. Kind of looks like Minecraft if it ran on a calculator. In 1992, founder Tim Sweeney wanted a more epic name for the company, and he got it. It wasn't until 1999 that it was shortened to just Epic Games. They made all kind of games back in the 90s. Jill of the Jungle, Bricks, Solar Winds, Epic Pinball, and Unreal, which was the game changer. Epic licensed the software for Unreal to other developers to make their games, a relatively novel move that made millions. In 1999, the company then moved its headquarters to Cary, right on Crossroads Boulevard. In the mid-2000s, Epic had another hit, Gears of War, a series that's done $1 billion in sales. But that game doesn't even come close to Epic's biggest success, Fortnite. 350 million worldwide players. Since 2017, Fortnite has generated $42 billion in total revenue and trillions of hours in pushed-back bedtimes. They then bought the company behind Guitar Hero and the company behind Rocket League. And in 2020, Epic bought Cary Town Center, demolishing the buildings, ready to expand their headquarters. But that's as far as they got. That lot still sits empty. Nothing was ever built there. Epic has seen ups and downs over the past few years. They sued Google and Apple over disputes with their digital stores. Epic won against Google, but lost against Apple. The company laid off hundreds of employees in 2023, then got $1 billion investment from Disney in 2024. But today, more layoffs, with the company saying, we have to make major cuts to keep the company funded. And that's how we got here. All right, so that's how we got here. But figuring out the why Epic Games let go of 1,000 employees, well, that's a little bit more difficult. Let's look back at the company's press release that they just sent out. It says, some of the challenges we're facing are industry-wide challenges. Slower growth, weaker spending, current consoles selling less. And that is all true. A recent report from video game industry analyst Matthew Ball found the share of Americans playing video games has fallen 4% since 2019. The Wall Street Journal found 18 to 24-year-olds are spending about 25% less on video games. And just this week, Nintendo cut production of the new Switch 2 because of weak sales. The entertainment industry has never been more segmented, and that includes video games. You might ask, what about AI? Does that play a role? Back to that press release from Epic. It says, since it's a thing now, I should note that the layoffs aren't related to AI, so they say. But we do know that video game developers are using AI. Ubisoft just released a new generative AI research project, including real-time voice commands and in-game AI tools. Roblox, they launched AI that can create stuff in the game by itself. Roblox also uses AI to monitor user behavior, to check for inappropriate language and bad behavior. But it is difficult for us to go much deeper than that when it comes to Epic Games, much deeper than their press release. And that's because they are a private company. You know, you can't buy their stock on the stock exchange. They don't release those quarterly reports to let you know everything that's going on. But all that said, we should care about the success of this company. Tim Sweeney is the second richest man in North Carolina. A story from PC Gamer found that he uses a chunk of his wealth to preserve natural areas in our state. He owns 50,000 acres of forest, saying he wants to permanently conserve that. Epic Games employs hundreds of people in North Carolina, artists and engineers, programmers, designers, good high-paying jobs. The people who work at Epic Games buy homes, pay property taxes, support local businesses, and send their kids to our schools. These are the kinds of companies we should want in our area, fueling the economy. I want to know what you think about all of this. Send us an email, 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. What do we miss in our report about Epic Games and these layoffs? Anything else you want to know? What other topics do you think we should cover? Tell us what's on your mind, and we'll talk about it here at 7 o'clock. Kat?
We've got some rain on the horizon. I know a lot of you who suffer from seasonal allergies are going to get excited about this. However, it doesn't look like it's going to be a whole lot of rain. It comes Friday night. The best chance for rain Friday, 7 p.m. until 1, maybe 2 a.m. So this is going to be a pretty late night event for us. Still, the pollen count was high today. It was lower than yesterday and the day before, but it's still high. Weed pollen was actually in the moderate category today as well. Pine, oak, birch, those were the issues out there today. We need this rain. We're probably looking at 1/10 of an inch of rain or less for Friday night, maybe 1/4 of an inch of rain if you get a rumble of thunder and a thunderstorm moves through. It's not going to help a whole lot with the pollen, and it's definitely not going to help with the drought. We need 8 to 10 inches of rain to end the drought here, and that's a big number, and we just don't have it anytime soon. For the day Friday, we'll start out dry, and we'll stay dry throughout the daytime hours. High-resolution futurecast data really doesn't have a whole lot. Maybe closer to 6, we could see something closer to the Virginia border, but rain chances ramp up after sunset. There could be a couple of embedded thunderstorms as well, and then that quickly clears out as we head into the overnight hours, so you'll wake up to dry weather Saturday morning. Friday night should be a good night to watch Duke take on St. John's. If you want to watch that game, it'll be nice for it. Prom pictures are going to be okay, especially the earlier you take the prom pictures. Just a heads up there, I know that the WRAL Gardens were busy with prom goers last week. So just keep that in mind for Friday. Friday night, the later you are taking your prom pictures, you may need to factor in an umbrella. But if you can take them before sunset, you should be in pretty good shape the way it looks right now. It will be hot, though, 87, and then temperatures just plummet Friday night. It's going to be a pretty sharp cold front when it gets here. 58 for Saturday. That 58 is going to come with windy conditions as well, likely. And so will Friday. Warm and windy Friday. Pretty chilly and windy Saturday. Sunday, 63 for the high. But there could be some patchy frost, perhaps a light freeze as we head into the morning hours Sunday. Live look outside across our area. Temperatures remain in the low to mid 60s. Still a good amount of cloud cover. Lows tonight are in the upper 40s to lower 50s out there. It should be a pretty quiet night for us tonight. Looking ahead, temperatures keep climbing over the next 2 days. 79 tomorrow, a record-tying 87 in the forecast for Friday. But the weekend, we cool down. 63 won't be too bad on Sunday, especially since it'll be less windy. Once we get to next week, we're bouncing right back into the low to mid 80s. Great weather for the start of the Durham Bulls home season. And, 58 Saturday. Sunshine sounds pretty good.
Sure
I just want to reassure you that the wind, not so good. It's not going to be so comfortable with the wind, so don't let that fool you.
Okay, so that's going to cool us down a little bit, keep that pollen flying around, but it's going to look great for opening day for the Bulls. 80, sunny, nice weather.
Dry, it's just picture perfect.
All right.
They could not have asked for better weather.
There you have it. Thank you, Kat. Hey, question for you. What goes into a great pop anthem? Apparently, a guy in Apex has the answer. Our one last thing, and some of your feedback after the break.
Page, feel the spark, touch the fire of a genius heart. Stories
What are you looking at?
from the southern breeze.
What are you listening to?
This song is so good. It filmed for this New York festival. It was shot in Spain, but it was actually all created by a guy here in Apex.
Don't waste this story on me. Tell them.
You got to learn more about this guy. This song has gone viral on YouTube. I got to interview him in his home studio in Apex.
Turn the page, feel the spark, touch the fire of a genius heart.
The song is called Feel the Spark, and it has millions of people around the world feeling the beat.
Exotic, modern thoughts and modern lit.
The music video, pulling more than 4 million views on YouTube, was filmed on the streets of Barcelona, Spain. It was created right here in Raleigh Rajan's home studio in Apex.
Tell us about your reaction to the amount of views that this song has on YouTube.
To be honest, I was shocked.
Bold and free, voices shaping our century.
Raleigh Rajan produced and wrote the song for the upcoming Tamil Literature Festival in New York. The lyrics are a love letter to literature.
From love to loss to politics, truth wrapped up in linguistics.
The pop rhythm resonating around the world, Europe, the U.S., South Korea, and India. Raleigh Rajan knows what global appeal looks like. He's lived all over the world, feeding his passion, learning different genres of music.
Every time I see a good song, I used to think I could make something like that. Then why am I not making it, right? So then I was like, okay. And then my second love is literature.
Stories roaring from the southern breeze.
Raleigh Rajan has been putting famous literary prose to music for years. One of his earliest hits using classic quotes from Mark Twain.
So I found that there is a kind of niche demand for combining music and literature. So that's how it all started.
He hopes his big hit, Feel the Spark, will open the door for more people to learn about Tamil modern literature and literary greats.
Thank you to Ashley. Such talented people in our area, don't you think? Hey, quick feedback from some of the talented folks at home watching tonight. Earl wrote, has there been any update on the shooting inside the New Bern Avenue nightclub? So our team is working on this one, Earl. You can expect a full report tonight on WRAL News at 11, so stay tuned for that. A viewer named Bonnie wrote in and said, I've heard a number of reports about the plane crash at LaGuardia, and I've yet to hear anyone mention the people in the truck. So let's clear this up for you, Bonnie, because that information is out there. The airplane hit the back part of the truck, and there were two people inside that fire truck, a driver and a passenger. Both of them went to the hospital. One of them has been released from the hospital. At last check, the other one is still there in stable condition. Chaz wrote in and said, NC State should have seen this coming. Will Wade hasn't been with a school as a head coach for more than 2 years, except for guess where? LSU. So Chaz isn't wrong. Before NC State, it was 2 years at Nice. Before that, it was 5 years at LSU. Before that, 2 years at VCU. And before that, 2 years at Chattanooga. But again, let's not jump to any conclusions with Will Wade. We're going to have to wait until April 1st. I think that might be an important date. 7 p.m. at WRAL.com. Keep sending in those emails and tuning in. WRAL News at 7. Thanks for being with us tonight.